Talktainment Radio worldwide travel. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Talktainment Radio worldwide travels. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
This is the Wellness Spot, and I'm Tanya Karen. Wellness is a choice, is a choice, is a choice, is a choice. Wellness is a choice. TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. The world's greatest radio. Radio the way it should be heard. And you're in touch with the Wellness Spot, and I'm Tank the Nurse. Let's talk wellness. Call in at 1-877-932-9766. Watch us and hear us on Facebook /Talktainment.com. We'd love to hear from you today. We have a wonderful guest today with me, Janet Smith. And Janet is a woman here from Columbus, Ohio, so she's a Buckeye. She's from the great state of Ohio, you know that OHIO. And what is amazing, and Janet was not prepared for what I'm about to say, but we have a golden nugget here with us today. And it actually makes me a little emotional because one thing that I remember when my grandmother was alive, I remember telling my grandmother that I didn't need to go meet the Queen or Coretta Scott King or any of the famous women that we have in our history and that we've had, because I had a precious jewel right there with me in my grandmother. And today with us, we have a very special precious jewel in Janet Smith. She is a grandmother, and I can say that word because that word means a lot to me. That word means a person that is of great wisdom and great experience, a person that can emanate and show us how to be, how to love. As a grandmother myself and having such an amazing grandmother, it's an honor to have Janet with us today. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Tanya. Those words were very kind, and I thank you for that.
Oh, they're from the heart. They're authentic. Because we just don't always appreciate our jewels. And as a nurse and a social worker and a person that works with people to help find wellness, one of my opinions in that is that we don't have enough grandmothers. We are missing grandmothers. And some
mama now, huh?
Yes, we are. Nothing against those names of Yaya and Nana and all of those other names, but it is something to be said about a grandmother. It is. Woo! So we're going to move on because that can, in and of itself, get me emotional just thinking about my grandmother and what she meant to me. So I wanted the show today is The Fire Within. Now, I am big on words. I'm big on conscious language. And The Fire Within, that is the book that you wrote.
Yes.
A Journey of Adversity, Resilience, and Triumph. Those are some powerful words also. So that's what we want to jump into. This is an amazing book and something that everyone needs to read, male, female. It's a lot to get from this book and a lot to help on the journey to wellness. This book, so I'm just, first off, let's start with, tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you're from Ohio, Linda McKinley.
Yay! Linden Panthers, that be us.
Yes. You know, there was a day when East High, Linda McKinley,
were rivals.
They were the schools of Columbus.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, of course, I went to Linden many years ago, before Linden became noted for the basketball team and all the championships and things of that nature. I went in the 60s during the civil rights era because I am a baby boomer, and Linden was interesting. And for those who went to Linden at that time, they could tell you that it was just a core of us African American students there at the time. There were not a lot of us. We were certainly looked at very closely. The principal at the time was Frances Henning, and she was a tyrant when it comes to making sure that your skirt was below your knees, and she would stand in the hall and actually watch us walk down the hall. Now again, there were few African American students during that time, so we learned to kind of love, depend, and stick to each other. That is something that has really taken me to the next level of my life, because even some of the folks that I went to Linden with, I also grew up on McClellan Avenue, which was before Windsor Terrace was built, and we lived on a dirt road. That was before they put streets and everything in the Columbus area. Because, well, I will not give a lot away in the book, but it talks about how McClellan Avenue was, and it today it's broken up. But during that time, we had neighbors that we went across the field, because there was an open field. We walked across the field onto the dirt road into another part of the community. It was truly, as I sat down and started to pen the book, it just brought back a lot of memories. And so, yes, I went to Linden. I grew up in the Linden area. All of my sisters went to Linden. I have 5 younger sisters. I am the oldest of 6 girls. And it was quite a upbringing.
Oh, yes. And I have a little knowledge of Linden, because actually, I don't know if they've taken the photos down, but they had a lot of the class photos.
That's right, on the wall.
On the wall.
That's absolutely right.
That's right.
Well, I'm sure since they've remodeled Linden, they probably have or moved them to another space, but yes. We did. We had, as a matter of fact, in our graduating class, it seems like it was like 400 students, and probably 100 and some were African Americans.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so a lot of people that went to Linden, they carried themselves in a prestigious way.
Really? Oh, we did?
Well, I mean, that's a lot of the graduates from Linden. They are proud to say, and this is back when you were there. So, to talk a little bit about Windsor Terrace. So you have a great knowledge of Columbus, what a lot of people wouldn't remember. And that's in the book, like you said, you go in detail about it. And so it is interesting to read the changes that have happened in Columbus in those years?
Well, let me say, Tanya, I love history, and I love to research. And if someone tells me something, I do not go on face value. I will go to the book, to wherever I can find information on that particular title. And so, someone said to me, well, Janet, Linden there was a time when in order to buy a home in Linden, you had to be, especially in certain areas, you couldn't just go and buy a home as you can today, because it was written in the deed that the home could not be sold to anyone except a Caucasian person.
Wow.
Yeah. And so those were the little underlining things that were used against us. And again, as I look even at how things are transpiring today, of the struggles that we as Black America has gone through and continue to go through. As a matter of fact, it kind of is repeating itself. And it's really sad. It's sad that we as Black America have been given the stigma of being inferior to those who are superior, which are the European race. And so, just to watch some of the things that's happened, and just moving along towards the end of the book, was one of the, I went through a lot of turmoil in my upbringing. My father was mentally abusive. My grandmother was what older people call color struck, which means I was not light enough.
Say that again.
Color struck.
And I need you to say that again, because that is something that is prevalent today in our community. I just spoke with a young lady that is beautiful, amazingly. I mean, she's gorgeous, but she is of a darker complexion. And within her family, she has people that are color-struck.
And again, those are things that were passed down from the slave masters, because I don't know, they say that the Willie Lynch theory is not, or the Willie Lynch letter is not really a true letter, but if you read it, you could swear that it is, because one of some of the things that is said in the Willie Lynch letter is, you pit the light skin against the dark skin, and the old against the young, and blah, blah, blah. And those are the things that are happening today, even today. And so most of my cousins were, especially the ones that I grew up with, were light skinned. And so I was kind of my mother was considered the black sheep of the family, and so was I, as in my grandmother's eyes. And to actually come through that, even, and may my mother rest in soul, she was my strength, she was my all and all. She went through a lot growing up, because she truly was the darker of all of her sisters. She had 6 sisters. She was the darker of all of them. And so even when she passed, she still had, issues of, don't do that. You can't do that because this, this, and this. And I said, Mom, you got to stand up for something. And when Les Brown said it well, he said, Les Brown, who used to be on radio, WVKL, Les Brown said, you got to stand up for something or you'll fall for anything. And so my mother had just gone through that era of, You know, she did not have the confidence and the high self-esteem that many folks or some folks have today. And so I know that was because of her upbringing.
Well, you know, I want to comment a couple things there. So Martin Luther King has a sentence in his writing, and I think it, you know, from what you said, it is very real. He said, you know, even today, he would say we are moving, when it comes to race relations and those things, we are moving at horse and buggy pace.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and as it pertains to internet and cell phones and technology, we're on warp speed.
Mm-hmm.
But as it pertains to human relationships,
yes,
we are moving at horse and buggy speed. We are still no further than we were there.
Absolutely.
Now, I say that, and then something else that you said when you mentioned how your mom's thoughts and what she went through and the things from her grandmother, some amazing things, because as I teach wellness and as I help people with emotional release, that part you just said is what is key, because things are not passed down in our genetics,
right,
in our genes, as far as my grandma had it, my mom had it, I had it, but what is passed down is those memories within ourselves and those thoughts, and that what Carol Truman says, that's the soil, our feelings and emotions. So that's how we process things.
That's right.
So it is amazing that some people don't realize that how they are looking at a situation and how they are processing and how they are causing the outcome to come is not based on how they see things, but how their mother,
that's right,
or their grandmother,
right,
or their aunt.
That's absolutely right. Those limiting, what many folks are calling the limiting beliefs.
Yes.
And the limiting beliefs are what will keep us stuck.
Yes.
And you know what, Tanya, I can say that, and I'm speaking from experience, because now the Columbus community probably remember me as Janet Blue Chip. I ran an organization for 11 years, Blue Chip Profile, Blue Chip Awards Gala, Blue Chip Foundation. Blue Chip Foundation was, of course, to mentor to the young people.
Mm-hmm.
Blue Chip Awards Gala was a black tie event that happened every February because I believe in my people. I love my people, and I want my people to be whole. I want my people to understand, you know, that we can do this together. But anyway, going back to Blue Chip. And so when I was into Blue Chip, I mean, everything was going well. But as I drifted away, I closed Blue Chip in 2001. And all of this is shared in the book. I mean, I share the struggle. I share the politics, because Columbus, Ohio is a political city.
Hello.
And you have to be in the group or the clique to get what you want in this city. But anyway, as I really look back over life and think about the limiting beliefs and the things that have kept me bound, they are things that, after I lost my daughter Tiffany, those were the times that gave me time to think, probably think too much. You know, we can overthink stuff. Okay?
Oh, for sure.
And those were the times that I would sit and think about the things that I had gone through, and I would think, can I do this? I began to second guess myself. Now here I was with Blue Chip Profile, Blue Chip Awards Gala, which was considered a preeminent event in this city. We had everybody in the city come to that event at some given time. And after I lost my daughter and my grandson 42 days apart, it was like I went backwards in my thinking. My self-esteem dropped. Those limiting beliefs. As I said, my father was mentally abusive. You can't do this, and this. And so those things begin to play on my psyche. And so it had me at a standstill.
Yeah.
But you know what? After reading and hearing things that folks were saying, again, I am a researcher and I like to get to the bottom of a situation. I don't take the surface. I begin to see that these things that I'm believing are things that have been instilled in me, in my subconscious mind as a child. And you know, someone told me something one day. They said, Janet, you know, if you sat in a high chair, I'll give you a case in point, and you were just looking around the room, and all of a sudden your mother and father start arguing, and you were sitting there, and it became too much, so you began to cry. And if you did anything like bite your lip or bite the inside of your jaw or anything, that pushes that memory even further down into your subconscious mind. And I thought about that, and I said, you know, it's really interesting because when I was growing up, when I was in school, I used to bite my nails, my fingernails. And when I had blue chip, I did not bite my nails. My daughter was a manicurist. She would make sure that they were on point. But you know what? After I lost my daughter and I was going through everything, guess what I started to do again? Bite my nails.
And you know, if I could say that on a quantum biofeedback level and an intuitive insight level, you went back to that familiar frequency. You know, and that's, you know, you said something there. You said that you were stuck. And that's where we get to a place where we're stuck, but we are also creating illness. We are planting seeds, or we have memories and things that are lodged within us. Because you talked about how as a young person, and we have to understand, Bruce Lipton, he has a wonderful video out there on epigenetics 101. And he has a...
What is epigenetics?
Epigenetics is our genes, and how it's not stored in our genes. But what is stored in our genes are those words and those thoughts and those memories. And he lets us know that we have the power to change. And see, you did that. You changed for that snapshot of time, but then a life-changing event happens, and it took you back to what you knew as familiar, and those recordings started to play. And he has a book out called The Biology of Belief. And in that book, he shows how you can rewrite. You know, you can't erase. You have to rewrite. And you know, Dr. Velvet, she was on the show with me last week. She talks a lot about you can't just take out and not put anything there. You know, you can't leave that void. So he talks about how you can rewrite that, and that's what you were able to do.
And I rewrote it in the book, The Fire Within.
So tell me, how did we get the title, The Fire Within?
As a matter of fact, Tanya, I was writing the book, started the book actually in 2009, and I picked it up and would put it down, primarily because it was very devastating. It was still really strong, the death of Tiffany and my grandson True. And so it was not something that I could just write and be done with it, you know.
Well, now, while you're there, I saw here in the book, someone told you that when you wrote the book, it was going to come out different. It says manuscript would come out differently than what you intended. Did that happen?
That is absolutely correct. Because when I first started writing the book, I was writing the book from a stage of anger.
Woo! How did I know you was going to say that? I got to go dig it. I said, she's going to say from anger.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so that's what you started.
Exactly. Okay. And so I was at the hair salon one day, and my hairstylist Gloria said, Gloria, I'm trying to finish my book. I don't know where to. I don't have a title for it. I don't know what to do. Da, 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 da. She said, Janet, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. She said, 1, what are you afraid of? And 2, why don't you feel worthy?
Woo! So, woo!
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
And lack of self-love.
That's right.
And not feeling worthy. We've been on a kick of self-worth, self-love. Man. And, fear, they have those 3 definitions. False evidence appearing real. And then we have the one, face everything and run. But the one that I like is face everything and rise.
Okay.
Which you were able to do.
Okay.
You got to that point.
Yes. And so Gloria said, Janet, there's someone that I'd like for you to talk with. Because once you get out what you're holding in, you are not, you can't move forward because you're stuck. She said, so I want you to speak with this person, and I'm not going to name the person because of, legal things but anyway. So I met with her, and she opened me up.
Yes.
She opened, and so getting back to how the title came about. So after meeting with the therapist, she just said a few things that just triggered thoughts. And so again, because I am a researcher, I went to the website and I looked at some of the things that she had said in our sessions, and I saw something that was written by, I don't recall the gentleman's name. Goodness, what? The gentleman's name was, yes, Joshua Graham. And Joshua Graham said, I survived because the fire inside of me was brighter than the fire around me.
Now, I'm going to repeat that again because that's a powerful.
That's powerful, isn't it?
You said that I survived because the fire inside me burned brighter than the fire around me. And I just want to comment real quick because what you said quite a bit there, but you lost your daughter and your grandson within a 42-day period.
That's right.
So that's what I consider big trauma.
It was trauma.
That's 2 big traumas.
Yes.
On top of some little traumas, because you talked about your dad and just your grandmother. So we had some little traumas along the way. So when we come back, I really want you to expound on how, because there are people out there that are in frozen grief or stuck due to big trauma, loss, different things. So when we return, the fire within.
ready for a high school that allows you to work at a place that is right for you? Are you ready to earn a certification in healthcare, business, or manufacturing while achieving your high school diploma? Then you are ready for Life Skills High School, a free public school option for high school students 16 to 21 years old. Learn more about your free high school educational options at lifeskillshs.org or call them at 1-800-888-7992. Life Skills High School, education that fits your life.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Kitchen online. That's ASHKICKIN. Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Kitchen products are better than your website. Ash Kitchen candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling alive. That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop Ash Kitchen online at www.ashkickin.com.
I've got the water, energy bars, and the camera. I think we're set for the hike.
Almost. We need to protect our skin. Don't forget your Rizone hat and your sunscreen.
All right. I've got the hat. I've got SPF 30. Will that work?
Yeah, anything 15 or higher is good. Just make sure it says broad spectrum.
Great. Got it. I am not getting burned again. Let's go.
Learn more at cdc.gov/cancer.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of the Feather Brothers West Barber Shop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
Every year, June marks the beginning of two busy seasons, summer and wedding season. If you are legally changing your name, you need to apply for a replacement Social Security card reflecting a new name. This is easier to fix now when you first change your name than years from now when you retire. So go to our website at www.socialsecurity.gov/SS number or call us at 1-800-772-1213, TTY 1-800-325-0778 to find out what specific documents you need to change your name and apply for a replacement card.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTimitRadio.com.
TalkTimitRadio.com. You go where we go. The world's greatest radio. Radio the way it should be heard. And you're in touch with the wellness spot. And I'm Tank the Nurse. Call in at 1-877. I messed up my number there. Let me give you the right number. 1-877-932-9766. Watch us or hear us at Facebook.com/TalkTimitRadio.com or download our app so that you can listen to our podcast. The app is Talktainment Radio. Find us. We'd like to hear from you. The fire within. Now, right before we went to break, we're here with Janet Smith, a Buckeye, and I love to just say that. You know, we Ohio people, we love the Buckeye State. So, Janet, this book, The Fire Within, we were going to break, and you were sharing with us about Joshua Graham, and I think it's worthy to read that one more time. I survived because the fire inside me burned brighter than the fire around me. And you said some things there that can truly help people that are stuck, people that have lost loved ones that they have not been able to get past. And a big part of that is forgiveness. And, there are times that we lose loved ones. And earlier you mentioned the anger. Loss and life-changing events can cause us to stir up an anger. But if we hold on to that anger, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. It causes illness. Yes. And how you can know that you're holding on to that anger if you don't already. I talked about this last week. I took a gentleman to the doctor, and I'm going to say this doctor's name because he's a famous doctor here. He's a heart doctor with Grant Hospital, Dr. Katapati. And Dr. Katapati, in his office, he has a screen that plays a video that talks about people with heart condition can be holding on to anger. And a lot of people don't want to realize or don't want to understand that anger affects the heart. The lack of love can cause your blood pressure to be high. Yes. Most people with high blood pressure, outside of being with water drought, have no physical reason other than the thoughts and the stress that they allow. And they choose, again, they choose to hold on to. Choosing to hold on to anger, to stress, to negative thoughts, not getting past loss. And it's by far, I'm sure you will tell us, it's not easy.
No, oh my goodness, no.
It is not an easy task.
It is, first of all, if you lose a child, because we expect to go before our children, okay? Yes. But to lose a child unexpectedly is devastating. I mean, devastating. And so, yes, there was anger. There were just things that you begin to blame yourself. Guilt.
And see, guilt is an emotion you never want.
Yes. What should I have done? What should I have seen? How could we have avoided this?
That's the shoulda game.
Yes, that's right. And so all of this is playing in your mind. And then to be going through the process, and let me just share something with you, Tanya. Tiffany passed May of 2004. 2 to 3 weeks after that, she passed of a blood clot to the lung.
Wow.
2 to 3 weeks after that, my father had swelling in his leg. And before the swelling, before it actually swelled so huge, he had a blood transfusion because he was bleeding and they couldn't figure out where it was coming from. So after Tiffany passed, again, me and my research, I began to just dig in to find out what are the causes, what could have avoided, what should we have looked for, what can we do now. And I took this information over to my father and I said, Dad, and it gave us the reasons that you get a blood clot. And I said, Dad, you've had a transfusion, so you may want to let any of us know if anything changes in your body. And so Dad said, Janet, my leg is hurting me really bad.
Wow.
And I said, really? He said, yeah, and it's swollen. I said, let me see, Dad. When my father pulled up his pants leg, his ankle was the size of a baby elephant's ankle.
Wow.
And so I told my mom, I said, we got to get him to the hospital. We got my father to the hospital right in the nick of time. The doctor told us at Riverside Hospital that Dad had 2 blood clots. One that was lodged in his lung, and the other that was on the way to another part of his body.
So can I tell you that, and you could research it, less than 5% of people that have a lung blood clot survive.
I don't know the percentage, but I will research that. But I will say
less than 5. So, and I say that to just say that your awareness saved him.
Yeah, and the doctor did say that.
Your awareness saved him because, and just giving you a different look at Tiffany's death, you know, help you to have that awareness.
That's right. That's right. That research, because
Yes.
again,
Yes. Yeah. You know, and you know, we have that truly, like you said, we should not bury our children. There are lots of people. I have an aunt that found her oldest son. She found him.
Yeah.
He passed in her house, and I know that still affects her. So
Yeah.
for sure,
yeah.
I want her to read this book and to be able to get from that state.
It is really devastating. But then, you know, so we move on after my father, you know, is in the hospital. He comes out of the hospital. And then I get a call from my sister. 42 days later, she said, Janet, she said, get to the hospital right away, Children's Hospital right away. I said, what? Now, I just was in the hospital, you know, when because Tiffany passed in the hospital, Mount Carmel. Then we were at Riverside. Then she said, get to Children's Hospital. What is going on? She said, your son, Tashawn, is on the way. He's following the ambulance. Something has happened to True, who was my grandson, 13 months old. Now, do understand, True's birthday party, 1-year-old birthday, first year birthday party, we were at when Tiffany took sick and was rushed to the hospital.
Oh my.
Yeah.
You had his birthday party.
Exactly. 1-year-old, anyway, so I go to Children's Hospital and my son is standing there and he said, I said, well, what happened, son? He said, I was downstairs cooking he and his brothers dinner, and I went upstairs to tell them to wash their hands and come on and eat. And when I went upstairs, I found him laying on the floor.
Oh my.
He wasn't moving, and I called my aunt, Cheryl, who was my sister, and asked her to please come over because she lived right down the street. So Cheryl went over, Cheryl called the ambulance came, and what they found out was that my grandson had touched a faulty wire.
Oh no.
From a lamp, from a defaulted lamp, and was electrocuted to death.
Oh wow.
So that really pushed me over the edge, because I'm thinking electrocute, you know, who gets electrocuted? You know, they electrocute criminals, you know. 13 months old, my grandson didn't deserve that. So I'm dealing with all of these emotions. Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I'm blaming myself. But you know what? It was not until I came to the realization that you got to move on, Janet. You are still here for a reason. You have to give people hope.
Yes.
That even though you've gone through, the first thing I would suggest is that self-care is so important.
Hello.
So important.
Self-care.
That we take care of ourselves, that we talk to someone to get out those guilty feelings, and so people can walk us through the process. Self-help.
You know, and you said that, and that is powerful, and that's part of the intuitive insights process, because we cannot live in regret.
Yes.
And we cannot, or we should not have let the emotions of guilt, worry, bitterness, anger, unforgiveness, those illnesses.
Those are strong emotions.
Oh, they wreak havoc. They store within, grief stores in the lungs, and bitterness in the gallbladder, anger and unforgiveness in the liver. You know, in the kidneys, fear and holding on and not wanting to let go in the bladder. So people that are having problems in those organs are holding on to those emotions, and and may have some fertile soil.
Yes.
Because if we go back to what we were talking earlier, if your programming, cause you to be angry and look at things in a negative way, then you're feeding that.
Yes.
And
yes.
super growth.
Yes.
And then you take with that lifestyle, stress, current stress,
environment,
and poor diet, no exercise, and all of that.
Yes.
It's a makeup for
serious
cancer, for serious health problems. And even if we don't get the physical manifestations of the health problems, one thing that happens is that those things do not allow us to have that self-worth and live our best life. Because you cannot live your best life in negativity. You just can't. You cannot be in a place of negative and in a place of love. It's just not possible. Right. And I want to quickly just mention some of your chapters, because this book has so much in it. You put in there sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that's where you got to get.
Fannie Lou Hamer, I think.
Yes. People don't realize that, but you got to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And sometimes, and this is why, sometimes we don't always see that when we get to the bottom, there's no place else but up.
That's right. That's absolutely
right. Unfortunately, sometimes if you never got there, you would never.
That's right.
Know that, I need to go up. You still think there's further to go. But when you hit the bottom.
Yes, indeed. Oh,
that's
come on now.
And you said in here, family history repeats itself.
Those are what I call the generational curses.
Which is genetics. And I really encourage you to look up some things from Bruce Lipton. And that book, Biology of Belief, it's on audio. But, that's what we have to understand. Now, we can look at it, one, as, it's there. But we have the power within. The fire within. We have the power within to change it. We have the power within to speak to those cells, to speak to our body, and to change those things.
That's right. Speak those things that are not as though they are.
That's right. That's
yes.
right. Yes. Well, yes. See, we're going to have fun up in here. I was just getting ready to say, one of my favorite scriptures is Philippians 4, where it says, think on these things. Whatsoever thing is true, whatsoever thing is lovely, whatsoever thing is honest, whatsoever thing is of a good report, and on and on and on.
Yes.
Our minds, what are we thinking of? And Elisa was with us. She's a counselor, and she's the founder of Holy Wellness, the Holy Wellness Center. And she shared with us that when we're looking in the past, that's where depression. We can't change the past. The past, it doesn't exist. That's from the guy.
You're looking in the rearview mirror, I heard someone say.
Yes, and we can't change that. And so, on here you said the beginning of our journey, but God. That's a chapter.
Yes.
But God. That says it all right there. But God.
But God. I'm still standing because I believe that God wants me to share with other women, men. As a matter of fact, when a young man that I used to babysit, he calls me his babysitter, read the book, he said, Janet, this is not only for women, this is for men too, because men have gone through the same things that women have gone through, with the mental abuse, just the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so I want to be a blessing.
And what?
I want to be a blessing.
It helps bring an awareness, because you could be at any part in this book. And you asked that question in the book. You said, what did you You got some questions in the back here. You said, what characters you loved or hate? And this book has a lot of golden nuggets in here. And if you truly want to be well, you may find yourself in one of the characters. There may be some men out there that don't know it, but they can identify with your father.
Yes.
They can identify with Tiffany's father.
Yes.
And one thing that Bruce Lipton has in that book in chapter 7 is conscious parenting. And that's a powerful chapter in and of itself.
Yes.
If you're planning to have children, if you're pregnant and you're in that stage, or if you already have children and you choose to be well, you can go read Conscious Parenting chapter 7. And then come back and read your book and see what changes can you make. Because it's never too late.
No, it isn't.
It's never too late.
Because you know, Tanya, one of the things, even with my father, after we lost my mother in 2012, now that to me was just as devastating. Because I knew after Tiffany passed, I said, oh my goodness, one day I'm going to have to walk this path again with my parents, After my mother passed in 2012, it was like the bottom completely fell out for me. And so one of the things that I began to just stop and think and do inventory of myself. And after my mother passed, the family was kind of, death brings some crazy emotions out, okay?
Yeah.
And so the family was split. However, and my father, because I was the oldest, because I at one point was very, very strong-headed, self-willed, independent, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, you put a whole new meaning to take to get the book. I'm not going to say much, but yes,
I was all of those things. So anyway, one of the things that helped me to really come to really understand that God is using you for something, Janet, was that one day something told me. Something said, Janet, you need to go and talk to your dad, because I'm the type of person where I will pull back. I don't like.
Say that one more time. Is this thing on? Is this thing working?
Say it for the people in the back.
You gotta say that one again.
Which part?
You said you were one of those people that pull back.
Yes.
So you could like, they can offend you, but you okay to just let them know.
That's exactly. Exactly. And I did that. I did that to my family. I just stayed away. There was one of my sisters that I would check on, or she would check on me, but as it relates to being involved, I just backed up. But one day, a voice said to me, you need to talk to your dad. You need to go and see your dad. And I did. I went over. We had sat down. We had a talk. And from that point on, every Saturday, after Dad and I kind of came to the meeting of the minds, every Saturday I would go, before he passed, I would go and take him to lunch, because I could not let that burden be on me. If something happened to him and I did not forgive, or did not
ding 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 did not forgive.
If I did not forgive, then that would have been on me. That would have been an even harder burden to bear.
You have no clue. You know, there are people out there right now that have not forgiven someone, and some of the people that they are still have unforgiveness for is not even living.
So they're going through some double.
Yes, that's you hear that statement. That's you drinking poison, expecting the other person to get sick. Forgiveness is key.
Yes.
Letting go.
Yes.
Releasing that person and not making them pay that invoice over and over.
That's
and
right.
over.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And because our community, the Black American community, has been so downtrodden anyway, You know, we need all of the healing and the wellness that we can get. We have gone through 400 plus years of stuff.
Yeah.
Of stuff.
Yeah.
All of that has played into our psyche, and even our, you know, what our ancestors went through.
Yeah.
And passing on, you know, all of that generational stuff.
Those thoughts, that energy, you know. I'm going to say this quickly. Dr. Villa was talking one day. She was saying that she was in her bedroom and she was cleaning up, and I'm paraphrasing, and she started to say that her husband was lazy and he never does this and he doesn't do that, and just started to grumble on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, and then she stopped and she said, wait a minute, those aren't my thoughts. That's not my words. And she started reflecting. That's how her mother talked continuously about her father. Because she actually loves her husband and she enjoys, you know, the relationship that they have and doing that. So, and I say that to just say that we sometimes are carrying thoughts and ideas that aren't even ours, and we're putting them into our relationships and into how we move and go through life, and then we're not happy with the results that they give us or the outcome. But, you know, again, it goes back to that conscious language, and it just goes to that self-love and that self-worth. Because when you love you, then you can see love in another. Yes. You cannot see love in another if you don't see love in yourself.
But you know, Tanya, it is a place that we as Black America needs to get to. We are, and the other thing I would like to say about that is that we have to be more community minded. Community in as much as helping our brothers and our sisters. That's the love. Those are things that we need to do to if my brother is hurting, then what can I do? Not call me when you get better, but what can I do to help you? What can I do to help you get from point A to point B?
You know, here coming soon, just going to put a little preview. I got a family that shows and is the epitome of love. And I'm not putting this family on a pedestal, but I tell you, they truly are here. Women, five women. Now they have some brothers, but I'm going to have a few of the women come and tell me how they do it. Because I've observed. I'm like you. I'm from the show me state. And so I'll sit back and watch and just see how you do. Because it's one thing to do when things are well.
That's right.
But how do you do when things aren't well? How do you mesh and how do you keep that love? But you're right. We need that community. And I'm going to say, I want to tell people how to find this book and how to find you. And it's www.janetmsmith. What's M stand for? Maria Smith, and I laugh at that because my grandmother was Mary M. Miller, and she made sure we put that M in there.
That's right, put that M in there.
That's right. You were in trouble if you did. But JanetMSmith.com.
That is correct, and that's my website. Yes.
Or JanetMSmith.com, and it's a HTTPS website.
Yes, and the S is because it is a paid. You know, if they want to purchase the book, it is secure site.
The Fire Within, a journey of adversity, resilience, and triumph. And I have to say, you know, you were very authentic and very transparent.
Yes.
And that's what I love about this book, because, you know, a lot of people won't do that.
Won't go deep.
They won't. They won't be.
How can you help someone, Tanya? How can you help someone heal or even think about seeking help if you do not lay it out and give them a reason? Oh my God, if she did and went through all this and said all this, then I know I can do it. So that's the bottom line. It's all about being transparent. I don't see it any other way.
You might have to come back because that went way too fast. The Fire Within, A journey of adversity, resilience, and confidence. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Tanya, for having me.
Wow, that went so fast.
You got the power. The world's greatest radio. TalkTainmentRadio.com.